Hello, everybody. Welcome in. I'm going to work on putting some intermediate layers onto these 3x3 pieces of watercolor paper. Just laying down some water-soluble wax pastels. For the stage, I like to use smaller brushes, particularly the nylon bristled ones that are they're a bit stiffer, so they can move the media around a bit. And a piece like this one, it's got very distinct lines. I like to blur those out, so I'm just bringing in some water, and I use that water to dissolve that deposit of pigment that is migrated out to the edges. Welcome in. Hello there. I'm adding more pigment in, and I'm also working to soften those harsh lines. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. I just gave everything quite a big jostle. Had to look up and realize you guys are kind of didn't have much of a view there, so let me just quickly, maybe not quickly, but let's move this stuff around and improve the view a little bit. That I can do. There we go, it's a little better. Hello, Maya. How are you doing today? It's nice to see you. Oh, it's kind of the middle of the night, but I had tried to sleep and just had a rather lot of insomnia, so I thought, well, I can toss and turn and be uncomfortable, and or I can just get up and find something to do. And I decided maybe I could paint for a while, and so I'm just trying to. If I'm gonna sit and paint, and it's not too much trouble, then I'll set up the live stream and get that going. Hey, Maya, would you do me a favor and take a look and see if you can set the chat only? I was looking to see if I could do that, and nice. I Yeah, I'll come back to that. Yeah, I had a look on my end, and I don't see where I can do it from my end, which is just odd. I'm sure there's some setting somewhere really in the 27 button clicks into YouTube, but we had a little bit of an issue yesterday with the earlier live stream, and then the person showed up in the comments just being sort of obnoxious, so always trying to get ahead of those sort of things and see if we can prevent them from being issues. Because I went back and looked at the live stream, and it out of a 50-minute live stream, I spent like 15 minutes dealing with them. So, and I don't really have the platform or the I don't have a computer right now. I keep looking at different laptops. I think I will eventually get one, but I think for editing that really makes things easier because you can't do much editing of a video on the phone. So once we get troublemakers, then it's like it can just tank the whole live stream, and I hate to pull anything to private right now while we're still working on building up. So I'm not sure if requiring subscribers only will I know it won't put a stop to it altogether, but it'll at least make it a little more challenging for people to they won't just be able to drive by and. Well, Maya, you are a managing level moderator, so let's see if I can. I don't know what happens if you click on your. And then the other question is like, is this just going on because it's in vertical format? Because the tools in the screen is really different than horizontal. But like on my three dots menu, the only thing I have is share and. Oh, wait. Community moderation. Maybe I do have it. Ooh. Community defaults. Okay, I can hold the chat. I can block words. Participant. Oh, maybe I did get it. All right. Okay. I think we might have got it. Sometimes it just, there we go. Sometimes it helps just to just talk it out. Thank you. Okay, now we can get on to the arty topics. So you've managed to accumulate, Maya says she has the Derwent Inktense pencils, and that just made me go, ooh, because those pencils are really incredible. And I have, I had, I think I had a chestnut colored one and I managed to misplace it, but they have these nice thick leads and they're a water soluble pencil. They're called Inktense. And they're kind of magical. They, when you get them wet, they are much more vibrant than a regular watercolor pencil. They are also, at least here, they're a bit, I don't want to say probably double the price of a regular watercolor pencil, but the colors are really incredible. So they've been on my list. And in fact, you know, after I ordered some paints last week, yeah, it does. And trolls do seem to find the vertical a lot more quickly than they do the horizontal. And it has to do with the way that YouTube pushes these out and just puts them, chucks them in the feed. So you're just taking in a lot of information, and you know, there's advice that says, "Oh, do your stuff in vertical because you will get more views," which they do. Looking at the analytics, they do get more views, but they also it's more trouble. So um, I don't know if I'll stick with the. I do find that the way I can position my phone right here and have the hey Fluffer, hi, that it does make it much easier for me to see chat, and I really enjoy the part of this where I get to chat with you folks. That's the really, for me, I think that's something that I enjoy. I mean, I enjoy sharing the art, but being able to have some conversations with folks is really terrific. Hey, Liza, you're not late at all. How are things in the Philippines today? And Fluffer, it's so nice to see you. Liza's got a new idea, and Maya's got Maya's got herself a whole set of the Derwent Inktense pencils, and I am one mostly like I'm so thrilled you get to have those because um, it's a it's kind of a new media, And of course, anything that's new is fun to play with, so. I like I like how the ink disperses across um, these lines that I'm painting in. I'm painting in with the Derwent Inktense pencil right now, and they seem to dry and they leave a nice like you see that the mark I'm making is like this green. The pigment is just dispersed evenly across it, so they dissolve beautifully quickly. And taking a break from glossing. Okay, Liza, I want to hear more about your new idea. Fluffer, what are you glossing? And how am I doing? I have insomnia, so I decided I would get up and paint and see if anybody showed up to talk with me in my quiet middle of the night painting. And there you guys are. Here we are. All right. I'm going to set this one aside. Oh, Maya says so after the ink tense dries, then you can paint on top of it without the ink tense moving. Well, I have to say I haven't really paid that close of attention yet to know whether that is what happens. So that's a bit of excitement. Gonna go with the deep rose here and let's just see how that works with these. Yeah, anything that's gonna go on like a watercolor, but then behave like permanent ink. That sounds very intriguing to me. So see how quickly that, I don't know if you can, my lighting's not great. Oh, Fluffer's gonna put some gold on the inside of a lampshade. That is excellent. You rock on with your bad self. I think you're gonna like it because it modifies the light and it just makes it so beautiful. I've done that to lampshades before with just like a can of spray paint, which will work. Actually, it works pretty well. Okay, I want this to be more intense. I just kind of get in a rut there and forget, oh yeah, I can just apply that directly and bring the water to it. Lampshades, lighting. This color is so delicious. It is Deep Rose, number 710. Made in England. You get the good stuff from England, right, Fluffer? So Maya said you've got Winsor and Newton ink coming too. Is that waterproof ink or in colors? Wow, that is has a beautiful translucency to it. That the watercolor pencils can be a bit not quite chalk. Well, Liza says she can't figure out why she keeps sending her friends memes. Well, I'll tell you what, Liza, if you figure out why you send your friends memes, we will be able to combat memes. I think it's just their nature that they reach us and we go, oh yeah, I gotta show this kitten to somebody. This one just looks like it's begging for some of that hot, beautiful color. That's just meme life. That's how they work. I'm gonna switch out to a rigger, which is a brush with long and more flexible bristles. I fell down the I fell down a rabbit hole watching shorts for that television show called New Girl with Zoe Deschanel, which is it's been off the air for a while, but it just it's so the stuff they get up to is so goofy. It's very just gets me laughing a lot. Right. Didn't we like I could never decide if I wanted to be Jessica Day when I grew up or if I wanted to date Jessica Day. This is so much charm. I think I wanted to be able to rock her wardrobe. She just had the best eclectic, cute wardrobe. And my own just skews such more much more androgynous kind of hiker girl, and but I always look at those girly girl dresses and think, oh, I wish I could wear a cute little short skirt like that. And the fringe, my goodness, like the best bangs in the business, right? Although the other character on there, Cece, she had terrific, we call them bangs in the United States. Yeah. Oh yeah, Cece was. Hello, Mama. How you doing? I don't see how you couldn't not like New Girl, Maya. It was an American TV show about this uh, young woman who she comes home and she catches her boyfriend with another woman, and that sets off the um, her moving out and trying to find a new place to live. And she moves in with three fellas, and then they're 20 something, so there's all sorts of shenanigans ensue, and I have to ponder this one a minute. I want to put more pink on it, but I think I'm just going to let it ride because I can always add more pink to it. Sometimes I look at these and they'll tell me, I'll go, whoop, that's what needs to happen next. And then most of the time I look at them and I'm not sure what happens next, but so I set them aside and then I come back to them, and then then it's more apparent what needs to what colors need to happen or what kind of line. This one. This one looks like it could be something fantastic or else a big disaster. It was a sitcom, Maya. 7 seasons. Yeah, was I the only one in the house going, what if Jess and Cece got together? Like, that would have been the power couple in the whole dynamic. We just never know what direction things are going to take here in the. Well, that went gray. I know when I first started watching that, the Schmidt character was just. I I didn't appreciate him very much at first, but then like towards the end when he's so sweet with Cece all through it, and then they finally end up together, and oh, that might have been a. Oh, it hasn't been on TV for a long time, so I don't think it's technically a spoiler, but it's a romantic comedies, they always work towards getting the characters together in the end, and like everybody gets a happy ending, which is, I mean, you can root for that a bit, I guess. Oh, Modern Family cracks me up too. I like how they always end up, um, like they really stand up for each other in that show, Modern Family. So, not a person with a house full of kids, never was a person with a house full of kids, so that part of it doesn't necessarily resonate, but um, it was the part where all of these really disparate personalities kind of show up for each other, and I love the little kid Manny. Like he's so big-hearted in that show. Okay, I'm not sure if I improved it, but I changed it. So we'll see. It's a big wet green mess now. We'll let it dry. We'll see what happens. I know. I can't imagine like growing up without TV. Like I think my mom really, my dad definitely didn't have TV. He was grew up in a place where everybody was out working, and I think when he was really little, like their house just had very basic. They didn't have a telephone. They just had like basic electricity, that had been installed in the 1930s, and then my dad was a boy in the 40s, so there was wood to chop and things like that that kept everybody in the family busy. But I remember coming home from school and being able to watch shows like Gilligan's Island and Flipper. There was a show called, I think it was called Gentle Ben. It had Ron Howard's brother when he was a kid, and it was set in the Florida Everglades, and they zoomed around on those big fan boats. But it's just a different place and time that you could just watch that play out as a kid, and didn't know anybody who's, goofing around with. Oh, and Flipper, did you guys? Cameron, Mitch's husband, Cameron. Yeah, the yellow in this is very banana yellow. I like it quite a lot. Yeah, there was a block when I was in grade school. There was a block of like Lassie, Flip, Gentle Ben, kind of shows with animals. And I think I'm gonna go with this one and add some green to that. So Maya says when she was a kid that they had one TV channel that at 6 p.m. it would run a kids show. So Norwegian children's programming. Was it like cartoons and entertaining, or was it more educational? Liza, the monkey on a field trip stole her banana. They are, they seem like they can be quite naughty. Monkeys. I have a younger sibling, and my sibling watched a lot of. We had Sesame Street, I think, has gone worldwide, but we also had a show called Electric Company, and so my sibling watched those shows and Mr. Rogers. But when I was a kid, we had Captain Kangaroo, and then lots and lots of cartoons. And so I saw a fair amount of Mr. Rogers, who I always like. Who Mr. Rogers is so warm and loving. But I was probably like junior high or high school age, seeing a lot of those. I had Captain Kangaroo and Mr. Green Jeans. If you don't know who Captain Kangaroo is, you should Google and take a look at a picture of him. Especially his hairdo and his jacket. It was kind of a blonde Prince Valiant bowl cut hairdo. Like, I don't know what it was, like a train conductor's outfit or something. Hey, Dan K. Hello, hello. Oh, so Maya got cartoons like Tom and Jerry and Donald Duck and okay. Fun. I like those colors. That's um yeah. I'm with you there, Maya. I'm just I'm kind of I'm trying not to like um I'm trying not to. That would freak me out. I think if there was a monkey on the school bus, because they run around very quickly and they're, I don't know. I've seen pictures of them like at temples where they're swiping things from tourists, and so Dan, I was working on one of the drawings the other day, and this is where we're at with a couple of the blanks. I think I've got another one kicking around here somewhere. Anyway, I grabbed what I thought was one the next day and did a drawing. Oh, it might be. I was gonna say it's not the right size, but maybe. Yeah, it's got pink splatter, so they really did. They really did. Quite fun. Yeah, I think these two are over in the ready to be ready to be turned into pebble sketches. Yeah, aren't those pretty colors? That was Dan's. What his question started with? What happens? Can you just use any three colors? And said, let's find out. And I don't know about any three colors, but those three colors sure worked well. So how you doing today, Dan? What's going on in your neck of the woods? I poked my head out yesterday. One of my neighbors who's out of town sent me a message and said, asked me if I'd check their porch for a package, and went outside, and the maple tree in my backyard is starting to color up a little bit. And two thoughts: yay, fall is here, and two, boy, I don't leave the house often enough. It seemed like a different season when I was, just because I go out and I don't, I get in a hurry to go where I'm going and I don't pay much attention. And I think fall is creeping up on us, so I love the colors, and I love the cooler temperatures and the way things change up. Is this the map one? Or was this the map one? A? Yeah, I'm with you there, Maya. Maya says she loves the spring when the snow is melting. I love when we did have breakup. We had the snow melting when I lived up in Alaska, but here in Oregon, of course, we don't really have accumulations of snow. We don't go from like snowy winter to spring. We go from rainy winter to spring. But up in southeast Alaska, where Anchorage is, they'd call that season in between winter and spring. They call it breakup, meaning that the berms of snow start to break up, and then all of the sand and the cinder that they use to add traction to the road, it just melts in with the snow, and so everything looks very dirty and brown for uh, at least 2 weeks, probably 3 weeks, and then you get a good rain and everything gets washed down, and then spring is in full force. So once you get through the dirtiness of the breakup and get into the full spring, it's absolutely beautiful. And I wish I could live someplace where it was spring all the time. I don't think that's possible, but I love how all the little flowers just start to poke up. Things like crocus and daffodils and tulips that come from bulbs, and they all been dormant all winter, and then they poke their little green heads up, and pretty soon the world is covered in all of these flowers. I know, Fluffer, right? And then I'm totally human in that, oh, I love this, I want it all the time. I'm tired of this. Is this ever gonna change? It's hard to imagine ever getting bored and tired of spring, but I would do it. I'm so I'm like profoundly ADD, so novelty just, I can't imagine trying to live without having quite a lot of novelty. My brain's always just trying to figure something out, and it wants a puzzle to figure out. So I know myself. I'm happier if I can really dive into one thing and just be really focused and intensely into it, and then I can move on to whatever the next thing is that's different. Boy, this blue just made a mess. I don't know if I can. Okay. No wasted art supplies on this palette. I am on the West Coast. Technically about an hour from the actual coast itself, but I'm up in Oregon. No, I always look at these little dabs and scraps on here, and I know I can get one more piece of paper out of that. Just we'll make one more little square. Yeah, there's a lot of color there. Dan, I'm up very late. I tried to go to sleep and my brain was just kind of just running. It happens there. It happens. And I'm perpetually a night owl in a chicken world. So I was kind of winding down, and then I let some stuff get under my skin, and then my brain just kind of caught fire, and next thing I knew I was wide awake. So I just decided to get up and paint, and here we are. How about we outline some pebbles? You guys had enough of painting? Well, I never get enough of paint, but we'll let those. I'm glancing over and I see that I did 11. And the autistic part of me is like, one more would make 12. One more would make 12. But let's just do some of this. So right now, this is looking a little bit bold to me, so I'm going to use one of the twistable colors and just blend in a little bit of white, and we'll just bring it down just a tiny bit. This is a kind of an easy way to just modulate it a little bit. Still lets all the colors come through, but oh, the brain absolutely has a mind of its own. Whatever the monkey side of it. So I've got the sensible side that says, yeah, let's lay down and rest. Let's do that. That's what it's dark. Let's sleep. Okay. And then as soon as like the sensible part of me relaxes a little bit, then the wild monkey part of it goes, yeah, and let's think about this, and let's think about that. What about kittens? What about that thing that somebody said that you didn't have the answer for, but now you've got a snappy answer? And but it sort of goes in phases for me. It'll be a little bit of a struggle for a couple of weeks, and then I settle down, and it kind of, I get a little break from the insomnia. So over the years I've learned to just not, it seems to cause more trouble and more interruption in my life when I'm fighting it than when I just try to observe it and be neutral and just say, okay, I have insomnia. It really interferes with us when we wrestle with it more. Liza, I saw your question there, and I know that sleep paralysis is it's a definite thing that is it's kind of a big thing, and you should talk to a doctor or a health professional about it. It can be more prevalent in people when they're young, but it can also can be kind of a serious thing. And then it's also possible that we dream that we're asleep, or that our dream we're awake and can't move. So there is sleep paralysis where the person is conscious, and sleep studies can be done to identify that. And at least where I live, a sleep study can be done with equipment that you take home, and you can use it in your own place, so you don't have to go sleep in a lab. And as far as having people come and visit you when you are having vivid dreams, it is possible to have some changes to our dreams by having an intention, setting an intention when we go to sleep. And it's a technique where if you've got troubling dreams, you can do a little bit of writing, maybe journaling before you go to bed, and think about things that you might want to do if you have a repeated dream. Like maybe you've got a dream that you get on a train and it goes very fast down the tracks and you feel like it's unsafe. That was a dream that I had. And the therapist I was working with suggested that, we worked together, and so what I wanted to to have happen was not to get on that train that was hurtling down the tracks. So I set the intention to get off the train when it made a stop, or to not get on the train. And of course, the next few times I had the dream, I would get on the train, and it would, the train would hurtle down the tracks. But eventually, in just setting that intention, I had a dream where the train pulled up, and instead of getting on the train, I just stayed on the station. And it sort of progressed the story of the dream along, and eventually the troubling dream stopped. So there are techniques for being able to deal with dreams that us feeling unsettled when we wake up from them. And on that, also, when you dream about people, you can think about questions that you might ask that person if they show up in your dream again. So, maybe not maybe not the next time you dream about your grandma, but maybe 2 or 3 or 6 dreams into it, you'll be able to have a conversation and, you know, tell her that you miss her, or ask her what she's doing, or maybe just have that question of, why are you here? Why are you in my dream tonight? And yeah, that's my advice. Get some professional advice from somebody who can help you deal with troubling dreams, because there are things that can be done. Fluffer. My brain is like, you could sleep, but I do have a counter offer. Oh, exactly. Dan K says, all my funny or clever comes back happen at 1 a.m. or when I'm trying to sleep. Um, you know where mine happen? I'm in the shower. And another thing. Oh, you. just, just shower conversations. I don't know why. I know. Alrighty. Alright, I snuck a couple of extra colors in there. I always love how orange makes a little pop of color. Um, yeah, dreams can definitely, boy, they can really wind us up, can't they? Maya says, it is really mind blowing that some people can just think of nothing. Like, how? How do you do that? Um, when I was young, before I had the manners to not poke into other people's thoughts and thinking, I I had a high school boyfriend, and I would ask him, "What you thinking?" Which is Like it just seems like such a young person question. And he would get this kind of surprised blank look on his face and he would say, nothing. And I would look at him like, I know you're thinking about something. And and I didn't really start World War III with him about it, but like I never, my brain doesn't ever just sit there with like a turned off TV. It's always got, four screens of stuff going at any given time. And if I can get my brain to just think about one thing at a time, that's a big victory. But I can't fathom not thinking about something that needs doing or something that needs, I don't know. I kind of grew up in a household with a mom who was like, how did you not see the kitchen needs cleaned up? Or how did you, like, there was always, you know. So it's probably like, that's probably anxiety of that. Isn't there something I'm supposed to be doing or something I'm supposed to be observing or I'll need to remember this later or I don't know quite why my brain is always busy, but maybe it's just because some of us have brains that stay in an activated mode. Well, there are people out there who just, they say that they're not thinking of anything, and I believe them. Dan K, the nothing. How do you get there? And surely, like maybe you just don't notice there's got to be. How does that work? How is that even possible? Oh, I wake up with my brain having just worked on stuff all the time I was asleep. Like it seems like it's working on thoughts even when I'm not paying attention to it. Of course, as a 17-year-old, I was convinced that when he said nothing, and then he'd look and he'd kind of get this, and I would think, "You're thinking about another girl, aren't you?" Probably not. He was probably just thinking about nothing. I ran into him about 10 years ago, and he was kind of still the same sort of guy. Wow. If I can get a daytime nap, I usually don't have dreams during my daytime naps. So that's about as close as I can get to not thinking about anything. I think it's so interesting today that we can like be on the internet and talk about these things, and I think in the 1980s like it wouldn't have occurred to me that people could just some people could just have their brains in idle unless you ask them a question or there was a task in front of them, or that um, one could just be automatically working on what they're working on without having to be actively conscious. I do. When I go hiking, though, or if I'm walking on the beach, my brain is. I can get my brain to pay attention to what's right in front of me without, you know, putting together a shopping list or the 85,000 other things it has to do. And one of the reasons I make these drawings is to try to teach my brain to just stay on one task. And it's pretty effective, which is why I do it so often. I mean, you guys will notice that I do kind of get lost in these, and then I'll look up and go, oh yeah, chat. Maya says she kind of hates questions like, what are you thinking about? Or how are you? How are you? Yeah, that one's troubling, isn't it? Because if you answer, then it's also always more information than the person. And I don't realize it until after I've explained exactly how I am, and the person is looking at me like, oh, I don't know what to do with all of that information now, and I didn't. I just was greeting you. And then I think, well, if you're gonna greet me, why didn't you just say hello or hi? That's a greeting. How you doing? That's a question. Hmm. Uh, Liza, we were talking about people who have the ability to not think about something all the time versus folks who have brains like mine that is it's always working on something. And Dan says he knows he has the knack for being in the nothing box where he can just be hanging out. And I don't know, for some reason my brain thinks that if I'm not thinking up a storm that my heart will forget to beat and I'll forget to take a breath. And I mean, I don't know why it's so. Just always, as long as I can remember, I've been really active with somewhat with images. If I put my mind, if I say to myself, yeah, imagine this, I can very easily do that. But generally, what my brain is busy with is things in linguistic. They're in language concepts. So there's always like this running narrative going on in my brain. There's always like a stream of words going. I kind of wish it could just be pictures, because that would be, like running my own interior documentary all the time. That would be a nice break. Hmm. don't think I could pick one favorite. But I do, if you go to my closet, there's like half my wardrobe is blue greens, so, and the other half is pinky purples. And I like, I like most colors. Yeah. I don't use a lot of red. Um, for some reason. I just very rarely. I'll use splashes of red here and there. I don't dislike it. I'm rarely drawn to it. If I look at the box of colors, red is never the one I pull out first. And then here in the United States, we have the political implications of red and blue, so. So like your simple, just plain old blue. Um, I don't, it doesn't really make its way in either, but lots of blue greens or aquas that are more yellow mixed into the blue. Those guys show up all the time. And I find that orange is, touches of orange really liven up any kind of composition. And yellow does that too. So I know I've talked about this before, but my family had I also had my own flower shop at one point, but my family business was a flower shop, and most of my florist training came from my mom. And one of the things that she pointed out was that if you make a bouquet and it just looks kind of flat, add some yellow to it, just a few touches of a little bit of yellow flowers, and it does really make a garden sing. So I'm not a big fan of like an entire yellow bouquet, but I do like if you have pinks and purples and you add some yellow, it, it pleases the eye. I'll put the cap on the pen before I... Okay, one more. Two more. All right. Oh, quinacridone gold is beautiful. Mint green? Like this color? Kind of a seafoam green? I don't mind it too much. I don't like the entire composition to be that minty green, but so I sharpened one of the watercolor, sharpened this guy, and just put the shavings into this little bowl, and then a little bit of water, and there's some white paint. I used to just sharpen my watercolor pencils right into the trash, and same with the crayons. And one day I happened to think, I bet I could make paint out of that, and you know you're cheap when you're saving your pencil shavings. Yeah, I'm with you there, Dan. I especially I don't like baby duck yellow or that real pale Easter pink. We've got some. It's okay in here, especially if you bring a little blue in it. It um, energizes it, but just like kind of the colors that are used for baby clothes, or that just pale blue. those colors were popular in the 60s, and I don't know, there's just no energy to them. I was just, I was thinking, when I was a young person, kind of this was a trend from the 1950s, that the colored rinses that old ladies who had white hair, they would put the pastel rinse in their hair. Did you would see somebody with actually like light blue hair or lavender hair? And I kind of like that a little bit. I like the era of those ladies with their handbags and their gloves and their hats. There were a few in the neighborhood that still wore hats. Now, and of course, like for every rule, there's an exception. It At holiday time, the M&Ms come in holiday colors, and I will say that those pastel M&Ms that they come out with around Easter time are my very favorites. For some reason, they just seem to taste better, and they're kind of lavender and yellow and pale blue and pale green, and they're shiny and crunchy. Has anybody ever done the Easter eggs where you use onion skins to dye the eggs, and they come out this beautiful kind of brown? We did that one year, and we wrapped little leaves and flowers on the eggs, and then put them in the toe of a clean, like a nylon knee high, and then you put them in the pan with the dried onion skins and some vinegar, and you let them soak overnight. You can also do it with tea, and the shell just turn these beautiful colors. And I think I had more fun doing eggs that year. My favorite dance. Oh, no one wants to see that. Trust me. I do like old white people dance. It's no one wants to see that. Nobody. It goes like this. La 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 la. One of my cousins got married. Oh, it's probably 20 years now if it's a minute, and the Macarena was really had been it was a song that had been a hit a couple years earlier when he and his wife had started uh, when, as he put it, as he'd started courting her when the Macarena was. So that was kind of their dance song, I guess, and it was really important to him. He wanted us all to learn how to do the Macarena for the wedding reception. um, I'm from a I'm from a family of white people, and he married a beautiful woman who's she and her family were of Vietnamese descent, and that was one wild reception of Had a culture clash, and her family just was looking at all of us, just with all of our left feet there, trying to do the Macarena, and I don't know. I guess we're laughing about it now, but just say everybody did better when they put the chicken dance song on. We all seem to be able to handle that a little bit better, but no, you don't want to see my white family trying to do the Macarena. It's almost a crime against music for that to happen. Fluffer, you were in Latvia, like on vacation, or what were you doing in Latvia? I am. So, Maya, I think if I lived in Europe, I would find American chocolate to be really disgusting because it's sugary and it's kind of burns the mouth and you live like close enough to Belgium and Switzerland where you can get really wonderful chocolate. And I'm not going to weigh in on Cadbury's because there's no reason to make enemies I don't have to make. All right, so there's the highlights laid in there. On vacation. Wow. I have heard that there are a lot of Art Nouveau 1910s, 1920s buildings in Latvia, like in Riga. Did you get a chance to see those? I got to go to Budapest when I was in Europe in 1991, summer of 91. And there were so many intact Art Nouveau buildings in Budapest that were just. We just walked around the streets, just stopping and looking up the buildings, and people would kind of, they'd kind of give us a bit of a, not a dirty look, but a like, what the heck are you guys doing? Kind of a, are you up to no good? And I would say, oh, I'm looking at the buildings and the the sweeping lines of the around the balconies and the window openings and the doorway openings were just so beautiful. Oh, Fluffer, I do not know what's wrong with people. I get called American quite a lot in France, and they don't say it in a very complimentary way. So I suppose anywhere we go where somebody thinks we're outsiders, we're subject to some amount of unwanted name calling and harassment. So in Norway, is chocolate and candy making part of, like, I don't know. Do you make chocolate locally, or what kinds of brands of chocolate do Norwegians prefer? Hmm. Hello, cat. Ouch. I don't know if I could say I have. There's a question in the chat for favorite songs, and I have a lot of different music that I enjoy. And probably my favorite thing to just sit down and listen to is the Miles Davis album, Kind of Blue. But I don't. I have a hard time answering questions like, "What's your favorite?" Because it depends. If it's Friday night and I've had a week where I've been kind of working all week and I want a treat, or I was listening to that album so much so that I've just finally had to kind of put myself on a sort of a restriction. So I only let myself listen to it once a week, and I would kick back and relax on Friday and sit down in a chair and just listen to Kind of Blue. And I've listened to that album so many times I feel like I know it note for note. Um, but like Desert Island, I do better with lists like what would you take? Like if you were on a desert island and you could only take 10 albums, which ones would you take? And like I would probably also take Willie Nelson, but not country music. I would take Willie Nelson's album Stardust, where he covers um, kind of the classic American songbook. And songs that I liked in my teens or 20s are probably don't remember a lot of them. I do have an interesting bit of trivia about music and humans, which is that when we are in the age group of around age 12 to 15, that is when our brains are developmentally just taking in music like nobody's business. So the music that you listen to when you're in American middle school age, like that's music that will stick with you for your whole life. So when you're a young person, you should really expose yourself to all kinds of music. And um, oh no, Dan, are you listening to Jelly Roll? Good morning. Is that Chocolate Quilts? Good morning. Oh, okay. Oh man, I enjoy me some Jelly Roll. He is um, I I just I find him so entertaining and refreshing, and then he sings, and I like him even better. I love that like, when he talks about how he used to rap, and then one day he just kind of opened up and let his voice rip, and people really went, "Wow, we love listening to that." And he was so surprised. Like he has so much wonder about his personality, and I think that's um, I think that's a really terrific. It's a really terrific attribute. Okay, it's time for Kitty Cam. Yep, there she is. Face. Quilting is one of my other many many creative endeavors. Yeah. So I assume by your name you're a quilter. I moved, oh, a little bit more than 5 years ago, and I am still trying to get my new sewing studio set up. Um, but I did earlier this summer. I unpacked all of my fabrics and resorted them into color groups, and went through all of my quilting books and purged out. Just looked at every pattern and said, um, I'm I'm 62. How many quilts can I make in a year? How many quilts do I have left in me reasonably? And of course, we've all got that Texas Star, or those quilts that we think, yeah, I'm gonna become a master quilter and do that. Um, I gave myself kind of a firm talking to, and I said, really, you're not going to live 100 years. You're not going to live 50 more years. You just need to narrow this down and pick the next 20 quilts you want to make. And so um, now I just have to get the room cleared out, and I've got a good idea of what I want to do. So that's what I'll be. That's I keep telling myself, that's what I'm going to be doing this winter and this fall, and here I am just working on watercolors right now, but we'll get to it. I love the patchwork, and I love hand quilting. Um, my mom was also a quilter, and she would make tops like, well, she would design and conceptualize quilt tops, and then she would kind of boss me around while I cut out all of her patterns and all of her pieces and handed them to her to crank out at the sewing machine, and then we would assemble the quilt tops together towards the end of her life. She had had a stroke, and it was a little hard for her to do things, but she was still quite bossy, so we cranked out a lot of quilt tops. And she always sent hers out to be long arm quilted, but I like putting them in a frame and quilting those layers together by hand. I think that's really enjoyable work. Probably not great because it's very slow going, so it's probably not going to be great content. Maybe the patchwork, making the blocks, that I might find a way to make some videos about that, but I've gotten into a lot of areas of YouTube, but so far I have kind of sidestepped quilting YouTube. I get into it and I think, oh, I would do that differently, or why are you doing it that way? Or my usual thought, which is, I could have had a half a quilt made in the time I've been watching YouTube quilting. Liza, good night. Good night. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us. Um, it's really appreciate you, and I hope you have sweet dreams. Yeah, if you do, just try in your dream to have a conversation with what's there with you. And hey, girl, hello. Yeah, I'm kind of liking how that turquoise is popping up a little bit. This one, Yeah, sometimes they want to be very naturalistic, and other times they almost want to be sort of a... Oh, I don't even know if they make this candy anymore, but they used to make candy that looked like rocks, except that it was, you know, festive colors like cupcake sprinkles. I'm not really on a schedule. I just started my. I have a question in the chat of when am I on again. I'm trying to be on kind of every second or every third day, but there's no set schedule. If I know I'm going to be on, I do try to pop up a community post. I did last time. I didn't this time because this was sort of an impromptu stream. I probably will settle into a bit of a schedule with this, but just right now I'm still trying to figure out what times work for me and what times work for the people that are viewing. So yeah, if you have any comments about what times you're looking for a little bit of a art chat hangout, feel free to drop a comment, or on any of the videos, because I think I have 37 now, so any comments. I do look at all the comments, and I do look at especially the comments that are on the community posts. So I guess the answer is don't really know in the next couple of days. And there's a couple of other streamers that I work with, and we do panels where we're doing artwork kind of side by side. And for those, I do drop community posts. So I don't know if you're big on getting notifications. I'm not, so, but people do use those. I find notifications to be kind of intrusive, and social media can... This is not self-serving at all, because as a content creator, I should want people to do notifications and come running every time the bell rings, but I really don't think it's terribly good for us to come running every time a bell rings. So not exactly an answer, but Maya's here in the chat. Maya's channel has art streams. And yeah, Maya, if you wouldn't mind dropping your channel link there. Maya does watercolor painting and beautiful. You're probably... Sometimes she's going daily, but usually always 3 or 4 times a week. And Fluffer Squirrel. Fluffer Squirrel does some wonderful neurographic work. And her channel has also got a lot of anti-Scientology work to educate people about cults and the dangers of cults. But lots and lots of art content, so... And if Brad would ever pop in here, we could drop his channel link, but he doesn't come in too often, but he runs a lot of, several times a week with an art stream. He's doing a lot of drawings with watercolor right now. think the question I was wandering away from was that, yeah, sometimes I'm West Coast United States time. So I do have a few streams where I'll be, I might be, depending on what Eric's got going tomorrow, he does a live stream that starts around 4:20 on West Coast time at Eric Rader. And sometimes I'm on that live stream. But most of mine are on kind of these after midnight shift. Oh, I'm in Oregon. Yeah, I'm up in Oregon. Kind of near Portland. Yeah, what region are you? What area are you, if you don't mind saying? Sure, Maya. Thanks for asking. Um, Northern California is a beautiful place, but there's a bit of an interstate rivalry between Oregonians and Californians. So West Coast and Midwest. All right. Yeah, what region on the West Coast? Are you Northern California West Coast? Quilts? I was rambling on the other night about I got to take a vacation down to the Bay Area and a road trip where we got to stop and visit the Avenue of the Giants and Mendocino and Highway 1 from its inception at around Willits and that area. And oh my goodness, so just eye-staggeringly beautiful. I gotta give you, Dan. I gotta give you kudos again for this one. I'm just having so much fun putting in the shadows and colors on this pebble sketch. Ooh, too dark. Yes. Dan asks if we're going to make chat picking colors a permanent thing. Yes, I tried it last night, but we could have used your influence. Everybody was a little bit feeling tired and uninspired. So I was kind of on a jag making the backgrounds, but um, it's I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's just it's a yes for me. Yeah, isn't that the orange just? Did I did I use white at all? Yes, I did. Sorry, I keep bumping the tripod. Yeah, I used the white shavings and painted those in. But what do you think? Does it look like it could use a little bit more touches of white? Or I feel like this pink stayed. Um, Brought the highlights in a fair amount. You guys have no idea how hard it is to draw and talk at the same time. I apologize. There's a lot of ums and pauses and stuff, but it is just a completely different part of the brain that's generating speech for me than is try to figure out where the colors ought to go. So it's like, what is that? What's the saying? Riding a bike and chewing gum or roller skate? I don't know what it is. Patting your head and yeah, this was. I sharpened the Neo color and I just sharpened the apparently part of the label and the shavings into a little container and then just added a little bit of water to that to turn it into a paint. Not quite the right shade. Alrighty, folks. Well, we're running over 2 hours now, and I think I've gotten quite a bit done. This drawing is. I'm quite pleased with that one for today. Take a quick look at the other pieces that we did earlier, now that they've dried down. one's kind of fun. I'll put another layer on that. So they look a bit different once they dry down. This was the one that we used the Derwent ink tints on. And that bright felt green, billiards green, it just holds its own against the other neo colors and the watercolor pencils. They blend together. This is also the Derwent ink tints in deep rose. I don't know about this. This one. This was the one that we worked on the other day, Dan, where I just used the rose madder and the cerulean blue, and then mixed the purple colors across it. And it got some green on there. Now when I put that green on, now I'm looking at this, and there was everything from kind of a deep green to that seafoam green. And now when it dries down, it just pretty much looks like one color of green across there. So you never really know what they're going to be like until they dry down. Yeah, that for some reason this piece of paper they really are muting out a bit. The blue and pink one? This one? Yeah, the blue was, that was one of those times where I was cleaning up the palette and I just grab a white square out and then just turn it in and dab up the ink. And then this pink color is the Derwent ink tints. So I sketched a little bit of this area with some lines. So you can see that structure of the line stays on there even though I put a wash of water over the top. And then just a really dilute wash. It delivers some pretty intense pigment, so a lot of fun with that. Oh, that's getting an interesting kind of washed out look. And I think this was the piece that I just sprayed water and then just dabbed up what was on the palette. So just a little bit of paint. So we'll see where these go in the days and weeks to come. We will turn some of these guys into pebble drawings. And one more look at the community generated. Yeah. That was very diplomatic, Dan. Modern art, yeah, they're just kind of in the mid phases. It's just kind of the ugly duckling phase for some of these guys. Speaking of ugly ducklings, they land in these kind of phases along the way. And the point of sharing is to encourage you to just keep pushing on and bring another layer to it. Add a little bit more. When they reach the point where you can start to see some shapes emerge, and it looks like, for me, it's just sort of a point where I feel like I want to pick up a pen and do that. So I don't know how to really put it into words any more eloquently than that. And eventually we just get to the point where they turn themselves into drawings. A little bit more, a little bit there. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, everybody, thank you so much for coming and spending time. Maya, thank you as always for moderating and for spending time. I appreciate you and appreciate your help. Did you get You got a chance to drop your link for your own channel, I hope, and we have we have links. Yeah, they do. They just go through that ugly phase, or the sort of a you put that layer in that just adds that neutral dark layer, and I don't know. I don't know if I'd call it ugly, but it's not as vibrant, but it's part of what you need to get the shadows to have. Um, I mean, the shadows are part of what defines the forms in any painting. So yeah, um, anybody who's got suggestions for 3 colors to use on our next time, you can always, of course, I love having everybody in the chat, but also if you want to drop it in the comments, maybe I'll throw up a community post and ask for some suggestions for that. I will say, out of our last ones, I did struggle a little bit because we didn't have a definite light and dark. So any 3 colors, and then just try to be mindful that we have like one that's a light, one that's medium, one that's a dark. That'll help us to get a visually satisfying result out of it. And maybe next time we meet, we'll do another set of blanks, starting with those 3 colors, and we'll see where we can go with those. Now, be creative, be mindful, and we'll see you next time.